Hi guys, and welcome to Angling For You and to another Lockdown 2 videos, and it's getting shorter and shorter to the time that I'm going back full time. And this video is inspired by the first one that I did that I thought, you know, it'd be alright. I thought people would want to know, and it blew up a little bit. You know, it's at about 6,000 views and you seem to really like it. And quite a few people have asked me to do one on rods, and it's quite a broad subject, and maybe we'll look at other sizes of rods, but today we've focused on an 11-foot feeder. Now I've chose 11 foot because you could fish it at shorter lengths if you needed to, but you could also throw it a little bit further, so I went down that route. But obviously all the rods on here, you can get a derivative of 10 foot as well as 11 foot, so it sort of balances it out a little bit. And the categories we've got today are similar as we did last time. We've got under 100 pounds, we've got 100 to 150, we've got 150 to 200, we've got 200 to 250, and then we've got 250 plus, and that's obviously for the rod on its own, no reel. And I just thought I'd put my top 3 in each category, and as I said before last time, it goes on my experiences, so it's me picking the rod up either in the shop or fishing with it, and my experience around it. So if I haven't picked that rod up or I've not waggled that rod, it won't go in, although it might be a better rod, if that makes sense. So what we'll do is we'll get started into the categories, and we'll start straight away with the under 100 category. And I normally memorize everything, as you know, but I can't remember all these and prices and stuff, so we've got this trusty book at the side of me. So the first one, at my number 3, there's 2 rods in this category for under 100 pound. The first one is the Preston Ignition, and they're the new versions that are out now, replacing the Monster Carp, which I didn't get on too well with, as you know. So there's the 11-foot version of that, and there's also the Maver Reality as well. Now, at the Ignition range, I'll put the price up at the side. It's the only one I've not wrote the price down for, quite daftly. They're just usually Preston rods are quite a durable rod, and I feel that they've just I waggled one a little bit a while ago, and I feel that they've just stepped it up a little bit, and I fixed a few things on the Monster range, and you know it's going to be a good seller. It's Preston, they always do well with the rods. And I've also seen quite a few videos of people fishing with them, and the action for me looks a lot better than it did previous. And Maver Reality. Now again, Maver, we didn't have any in the last one, but I have actually picked the Maver rods up, and one of my friends got one, which I've had a little waggle on, and they're really decent little rods, and 11-foot ones are around 72 quid. Now all these prices I'm saying, you could probably get them different where you go. I'm just going straight down the line prices, so you may get better, you might get worse. So yeah, the Maver Reality 11-foot, and again it's a really decent action rod and really good for the price range with a reliable brand as Maver is. You know, I thought that should definitely go in at the side of the Ignition. I feel the muchness, those 2 rods, very similar in what they do. And then with the number 2 spot, and this might surprise a few people, it's the End Zone S from Daiwa. Now the 11-foot version is $84.99 or around those, that kind of price range, and I just love these range of rods, both of them, the S and the Z. But the S is perfectly balanced. It's an upgrade from a Ninja, so it's probably like what the Yanken Banks used to be. As you know, one of my favourite rods that I used to use for most commercial fishing, and it's a Daiwa, so you know it's got the great Daiwa aftercares, and it's just built to last, and just a really quality rod, and which is surprising that it's not my number 1, and it's only pipped at the point by something that I picked up at Lindholme, and it's just it surprised me how good it felt, And you can try before you buy on Drennan items at Lindem, so obviously give a little bit away. But my number one in there is a Drennan Vertex 11 foot. And that is a really, really good rod. That's $99.99, so that's at the top end of the £100, under £100 budget. And it feels like it, you know, the profile's really slim on it. It's just a lovely through action rod. Lovely fixtures and fittings, just feels really well made. Nice wide eyes on it. It's just a nice rod. And you know, Drennan, again, they're just built to last, rods like that. I've got two Drennan rods that I use for barbel fishing, which are Series 7s, and just unbelievably strong and beautiful rods to fish with. So that is my under £100 top three. Moving it on to the 100 to 150 bracket. Now, in this bracket, there's a couple of surprises in there, I reckon. But we'll get onto it and see what you think. So coming in at number 3 is the Guru N-Gage Feeder 11 foot. That's about 129 quid. And again, this is just stepping up a little bit more backbone to it. Really nice action, finished in that lovely silver. And I first noticed this rod when I watched Carl and Alex fish with it on their Fishing Tips side channel that they do. So when I went to get a Daiwa End Zone, I went and had a little look and checked these out when I was looking at the End Zone rods, and they're just a really decent rod, and I felt that they're just really good quality. Came with the extra tips, as you'd expect, but just built for commercial fishing, and if that's what you're going to do, then, you know, it's a great rod. And again, that goes up. They do 10s, 11s, I think they do 12s as well. But just an all-round good rod for the money. For 130 quid, it's a really decent rod for that money. And then going up into a little bit of a higher price bracket is the Preston Superior 11 foot. Now you're starting to get into more the premium feel of the rod. It's a really slim rod. It's 148.99, so you know it's on the edge of that 150 quid bracket that we've put it in, and it feels like it. I've fished with it a couple of times that are friends that have had him, and you know they've got a lot of great following, a lot of good feedback and positivity behind them. They're just a lovely rod to cast with. They've got a beautiful through action, real sort of parabolic action, which is just all the way through. And I love that it's just so slim, and lovely design. The eyes are really strong on it, and it sort of does the things that I wanted the Monster to do, but obviously without it being as more expensive. Because I felt that the Tyson range before that, they were sort of, you know, I felt better than the Monsters, but the Superior, it is superior to that. So my number one is something that you've not seen me fish with. I have picked it up. I have experience with it. That's why it's on the list. And it's the Cadence CR10, and it's obviously the 11 foot, and it's 120 quid. Now these rods have just been, they're like unicorns. No one really fishes with them as a whole. Like, they're not in your face, but when you know, it's one of those kind of rods. And it's just a really, really decent rod. And again, in this bracket, the Free Spirit rods would be up there with that, in that number one spot, but I haven't had experience with them yet, and my friend's got some, and I just haven't put my hands on it. So the just to let you know, the CTXs would be in this bracket, the Free Spirit, but I can't put them in my list because I've not had experience with them. But I know that from everybody I've talked to, they are a brilliant rod. But the Cadence, yeah. So again, it's just, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. They're really strong, real powerful rods, but also really light and nimble to use, which is what you want on a commercial. You don't want something really heavy. that's, you know, wobbly, and, you know, it's just for 120 quid, it's an absolute bargain, and you should really have a look at that. So moving up to the a little bit more expensive range now, we're going to 150 to 200. So this is the range where both of my rods sit into, both at the higher end, and as you'd imagine, both on this list. So we're going to start with the number 3, and that's the Gennen Acolyte Plus, 189 quid. It's an absolute beast. It's a beautiful rod, and I was so close to getting one instead of the matte parabolic, and never say never. It still might come and hit the list at some point. And it's just a beautiful rod. Again, really slim. It's very similar in the end zone in how it's super slim profile. Just lovely through action, really light, and just feels very precise. And again, you've got the Drennen feel that you know that it's going to last, and that's really important when you're buying a rod. So my number 2, that is the Map Parabolic Black Edition 11 foot, and mine was around £194, so not cheap, and it's not the SUV model that I've got the one before that. So the SUV one is effectively, they've just strengthened it slightly, but as you've seen from the absolute munter that I caught on Locos the other week, it can more than handle big fish, and that is why I've got it. It's fishing at more distance and to handle those big fish, and it's just that beautiful, as the name suggests, parabolic action is just amazing. Just bends all the way through. It's very supple and very light. Some people might not like it because it's so light, but in regards to the action, it's so light, but I like that. I feel like you're going to lose less fish, and it gives you a lot of confidence when you're playing big fish on it. For like, for example, when the lunge and things like that, it just gives you that extra confidence. And then my number 1, of course, is the Daiwa Endzone Z, and the thing that pipped it to the map for me is that it's the 10 to 11 foot. So if I want it 11 foot, I can have it 11 foot. If I want it 10, I can have it 10. So the fact that that's dual means, to me, that makes it just that extra bit special. I've had fantastic sessions on it last year, since I got it. Although it were in the 10 foot, I have had it in the 11 foot as well, set up. But just unbelievable playing action, super thin profile, really strong. Again, super parabolic with the action. It bends all the way through, gives you a lot of confidence under the net, that you're not going to bump those fish. I've had fish up to nearly £20 on it, believe it or not, even in its 10 foot mode. So it's super strong. It cost me 180 quid. It might have been a shade over that, but around £180, which is an absolute bargain. And obviously comes with those 3 tips, like everybody on this list comes with 2 to 3 tips, and just means it's versatile. You can fish for silvers, or you can fish for big carp, although it's not an out-and-out power for you know, throwing absolute massive weights. These are all commercial, not distance feeder side of setups. So going on to the 200 and 250 bracket. So my number 3 is the Maver Signature Pro XS, and this is around £200 at 11 foot. And again, like with the Mavers, they're coming back in. Maver, you know, sometimes they get overlooked. And I first had a look at this rod when I seen Tommy Pickering fishing with it, and I thought, you know, the action on that looks really good. And I've picked it up a few times, and played about with it, and, you know, bent it down on the floor, and, you know, got to grips with it, and it felt an absolute solid rod, and really light, nice profile. I went and got a reel and stuck a reel on it. It felt really balanced, and it was in the picture, but I just wanted to go back to the Daiwa. I've had a lot of good experiences with the Daiwa, and I really wanted to try those end zones, and I'm glad I did. But equally, I'm sure I'd have got on well with that Signature. So yeah, a really good rod to try around that £200 range, and definitely one to give a look to. My number 2 is the Matrix Horizon X Pro, and that's 250 quid on the nose for 11 foot, so that's pushing this area of the budget to the max. But what a rod. I mean, it's mega. It's really good. I was talking to Jamie Harrison about these the other day, and you know, he says that he obviously fishes them. That's what he does mainly, a lot of feeder fishing, and he says they're fantastic rods. And it's true that, you know, there's a lot of good anglers that are with Matrix at the moment, so you know, that's obviously a reason why they do so well, and they've just started. The Preston was always sort of, I felt, the forefront, but I think Matrix are catching up, if not level now, with what they're doing. And that rod is a really, really good rod, and certainly something that I may be looking at in the future to join the family of 2 that I've got. There's other things I want to do. I've got a distance midi feeder rod which I'll be using for some projects that we've got coming on in the spring. But there's some great rods out there, and this Horizon is a great rod. I've used one a couple of times to fish, and the action's fantastic. And again, nice slim profile. And it's just getting that real confidence in what you're using, and certainly does give you that confidence. And my number 1, and this is something that I tested about a year ago, I'd say, and I loved it. I'm ashamed I had to give it away as a prize for Christmas. I didn't have to, but that's what we do on this channel. You know, we test things and then we give them away, because it's all about giving back to you. And that was a MIDI Reactor Core X2 Mini commercial, and at £209. So again, into that early premium bracket, and it was just stunning. It was really light, really slim profile. Action on it were fantastic. It came with the extra tips as you'd expect in a nice case. Just a lovely rod to fish with. It were really slim and just had a lovely action to it. Now, there wasn't much difference between that and the Matrix. The only difference for me is that I got to fish with a MIDI more, and that's why it's my number 1. I really did like the rod, and it personally would have kept it if I didn't run a massive YouTube channel and have an area to give back. I would have certainly kept it for quite a while to test further. But I'm really glad that he went to a nice home, one of his members or subscribers, and they got to it, and they still get to enjoy it. So that's the main thing for me. So that's my number 1. So moving on to the big boy category. So I put this as the last category. I put it as a 250 and above category. So there's some serious contenders on this list, all of which I've fished with, and all of which cost a lot of money. So the third one is a Shimano Aero X7 Finesse 11 foot, and that's £250 on the nose. Now, I'm looking at one of these as a waggler rod, which is one of the reasons it's on here. I've just been talking to Aaron at Lindholm today about going to test some on Lindholm when we can get back out soon. But yeah, they're just a beast of a rod, super strong. Just again, a lovely profile, really light. Everything that you pick it up, and everything just looks and feels premium. The handle, the fastenings, the eyes, everything about it, just, you're picking up a really good quality rod. And number 2, now this is a rod that if I was a serious match angler and I wanted to spend a bit of money to fish my feeders, this is one of the ones that I would go with. And this is a Daiwa Arity 11 foot, and it's quite expensive, I'll be honest. It's $339.99, which for an 11 foot rod is expensive. And all I can say the difference is when you pick up a budget rod, and then you pick up maybe a 150 to 200 pound rod, and you see that, you instantly know that difference. when you pick up a 200-pound rod and then you pick up that, it like goes up again. It's not as much as that gap, but you just know when you've got it in your hand. It's hard to explain. It's smooth, it's got lovely action, everything's built bulletproof. The finish, the joints, the handle, everything about them is just great, and that's what you're starting to pay for. Lightness and strength, and you know, they are expensive rods, and if you are a matchman, a serious matchman, you know, this is as close to my number one as you can get. Strangely enough, the Tournament Pro is not in there. I am had a go with that. I've seen it in the shops and I've never got around to picking it up and having a go with it, so I can't comment on that. It would probably be up there. But my number one is the Browning Sphere feeder rods. Now there's loads and loads in this category, so we've just gone for the 11-foot medium, which is $298.83. So it is less than the Arity costs, but still, you're just in that same bracket. And the Sphere I've got a little bit more experience with, and a little bit more just fishing time with it. One of my friends has got them, and you know, they're just a great rod. Again, you're in that premium bracket and it feels like you're playing those bigger fish. It's just that balance of just perfect balance, the right reel, the correct eye size and distance apart. They're just, everything about it's just a great rod, and when you pick them up, you know exactly what that feels like, and it really is a quality piece of kit. And $250, I don't think it's a lot of money. Did I say $250? Yes, around. No, sorry, $300. It's not $250. So yeah, $300 is a lot. At $250 is about probably as much as I'd want to go for a rod for what I do. Even for matches, I feel like I'm not gaining much more. I think the rods that I fish with, just sub 200, I think do everything that I'd ever need them to do. And I think you'd have to fish a lot and a lot of different varied venues, and more at distance and stuff like that to get the best out of these more expensive rods. And I suppose that's where we go into we were talking about the Browning Sphere and the Garbolino UK1 and things like that with a high premium poles. I think you're gonna have to fish a lot of matches and varied situations to make that relevant and to make it worthwhile. Or you've just got a lot of money and you're not bothered and you just want the best stuff, which is, you know, you get your money, you take your choice. That's up to you. But certainly it's been interesting going through and actually looking through what I think is the top three in each of these categories. And I know you really enjoyed it before. I was going to do one on seat boxes, but I'm not sure it's entirely doable. But we'll have a look at it and see if I can do it. I don't think there'll be 3 in each category, but I could maybe give you 1 in each category. But we'll have a look at that. So guys, thank you very much for watching. If you join us on the Facebook group, still doing the live feeds until we get back to full-time work on Fridays. We're going to give away the ProGen tackle prize this Friday on the live feed, so that should be good. That will be the 5th, I think 5th of March. So if you want to join and enter that, come onto the group and have a look for it. If you want to join us on the Instagram at angling_for_you for all the photos and pictures, see what we're up to and what's going on in our world, then join us on there. And if you could like, share and subscribe, guys, that'd be fantastic. And until the next one, thanks a lot for watching, and tight lines.